Hello, hello. I'll start in a minute. Hi, everyone. How y'all doing today? All right, let's do it. Good morning. Back for another week. The satisfying first sip of the day. Sorry, first sip of the live stream. I had some earlier. So good. So good. How y'all doing today? Drop in the chat. Let me know how you doing. So check this out. First, I got to show you a little bit of what we were up to this weekend. I made a reel yesterday about it. Share this tab. Here we go. This was the festival. Yeah, it was so cool. So we built a stage recently. I know when I first started my live stream, I was just telling everybody about that. But that right there. So you got Jess up there with the kids. I was up there too. Shout out Joe Jackman. He spoke as well. It was a lot of fun, guys. The whole theme was building resilience through education and community. And we had quite a turnout. And a lot of people too. They come to a lot of our events, but they never actually heard us really share what we do. I guess they don't follow my stuff every day on social media because I talk about it all the time. But it was really cool to be able to get on the same page with a lot of people in the community and meet a lot more families very interested in what we're doing, specifically as an alternative to school. It's very important. Think of the kids now today on a Monday going into a whole week of school or whatever, and it's like they don't want to be there. The parent doesn't even necessarily want to send them to school, but they don't really know what else to do. So that's really why I do it, guys. I want to make sure that no kid has to go through just the misery that I went through. And my life wasn't even that bad as a kid, but I was still depressed and anxious as a high schooler because you're in an unsupportive system that's just designed to make you a zombie. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun doing that this weekend. Shout out everyone who came out. There's amazing food. Let me just tell you about the food for a moment. So we'll do these festivals, and it will be season themed. So here in Minnesota, when it's springtime, it's a lot of fun because you got like the blossoms coming in on the trees. You got the gardens starting to go. You got some, um, it's a very unique vibe. Definitely different than Winter Festival, etc. And the people came with this like birch sap water. It was so good. They had like this giant ice thing. It looked like a snow cone. It was like crazy good. The moment I had it, I had to run over and I was like, Aerosol, you got to try this. This is from birch trees because we have birch trees on our property too. I never knew you could tap them. Some lady made like dandelion cookies, which may not sound good. It was so good. It was like, imagine the best shortbread cake thing, but it was very unique. I still got some downstairs. Like I'm eating these. Um, we grilled up a some like ribs and a leg of a pig. I guess that's how you'd call it. From our friends Cameron and Katie in Texas. It is so good. I know some of y'all are like, I don't eat pork. No, that was a delicacy. It was awesome. Um, so many good things. I like because when you host, it can sometimes, if you're not careful, it can kind of be draining by the end because it's like all these people coming up to you, talking to you. You know, you gotta you know host and make sure it's fun for everyone. Um, so throughout it, I like to eat. I like to be well fed, and it was so fun. By the end, like you could just see the whole congruence of the whole community all coming together. So my encouragement for you is figure out what that looks like for you locally. You may not have to host a seasonal festival, but you can host something called the Clubhouse. We do that every Saturday. Or every month on a Saturday at the end of the month. We've been doing that for over 5 years. Local community, guys. Like, you're a social creature. You need friends. Zoom will not be as fulfilling as giving someone a hug in real life, actually talking to them in real life, and then seeing the kids play. Man, that's it, for a while there was like as many kids as adults there. It was a lot of fun. So, anyway, that was my weekend. But now I'm going to show you. I got a whole setup today for what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be talking a little bit about memetic warfare. You got to be aware of this. Um, it's really, really fascinating. But before we do that, there was actually this super unique reel from this guy. He's like talking about this early Taoist phrase. And I really like the book, The Way of Life by Lao Tzu. Um, he definitely was onto something with his understanding of Taoism. Out of all the religions out there, it is. I'm not saying everyone got to convert to Taoist. I am not saying I'm a Taoist. I'm just saying the philosophy of the Tao, 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 is really cool because the Tao is in all things. It is that animating life force within everything, within a tree, within a cat, within a human. And you can either align with the Tao and work with it, or you can try and suppress it and you will experience problems. So, uh, this is a very interesting reel, but I want you to listen to the concept behind it. All right, share this tab, and I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to turn the sound on. So just consider this as you start your week.
There's a Taoist idea that the mind becomes like the technologies that it uses. There's a Taoist idea that the mind becomes like the technologies that it uses. And so the early Taoists were proponents of using the most basic technologies so that the mind would remain clear and free from contamination. The early Taoists were fond of saying things like, the minds of the people who use complex machinery will ultimately become machine-like themselves. I often wonder how machine-like my own mind has become. Are we all just walking around with machine minds? And what about the minds that use AI? Do they become artificial as well? I've been hauling heavy logs all week using this basic lever system. Here's to hoping it helps to remedy my contaminated mind.
Pretty interesting, huh? Did you ever think about that? That your mind will become like the technology it uses. Now, for me, I use my phone a lot. I'm obviously on my computer, It's part of the nature of my purpose is I'm here to help connect people. People are on the internet, people are on social media. So it's inherent I'm going to have to do that. But I also can enjoy, like yesterday, I was out baling hay. And so I was not baling the hay, I was transporting baled hay and putting it around a strawberry patch in our garden. I was using a pitchfork with some wood chips, putting wood chips around trees and, you know, immersing my kids in that. My wife's parents visited for a little bit yesterday. Like, uh, I found a tiller on the side of the road. And, I'm not gonna go old school like this guy, and I'm not gonna get a donkey and try and till my garden with that. There's even a whole practice called no-tilling, but I'm not gonna get into all that today. But I've wanted a tiller for our property because we have really heavy clay soil and we like to plant a lot of things. So there's this free tiller on the side of the road, and I would like pull over. I'm like, Jess, should we get it? It's obviously free for a reason. But then she's like, hey, my dad's coming today. I bet he could take a look at it. So then in like 10 minutes, her dad's such a beast. He's like the ultimate handyman. He goes, oh yeah, we just got to put a little sandpaper on the part where there's the spark plug. It's probably just a little rusty and let's fire it up. And it worked. And so as I'm using it though, I'm holding this like heavy tiller and it's tilling up the soil of this one spot in our yard. I'm like, this is so cool because I am able to balance myself from being online, sending emails, doing computer work with physical stuff. And I found that has kept me very grounded over the years. Planting a fruit tree where the fruit is not going to come in for like 4 years. It humbles you, it grounds you. So just consider that. Like throughout the week, are you also doing things that can slow you down, things that can bring you into the physical reality that we live in, into the moment? Or are you just scrolling all day? Think of the mind of someone who scrolls all day. That slot machine mentality. Scrolling for the dopamine, versus cooking food, doing the dishes. Like there's a meditative practice to it. Tending to a garden, that kind of thing. It really shapes your mind in a way that's more in alignment with reality, and people will pick up on that. You can sense when you're talking to someone who's grounded versus someone who's not. So that one was cool. All right, so now I want to get into my sub headline. So I'm calling this Memetic warfare, and then life stability versus instability. So let's get you the most stable week yet. Stable meaning you're on really firm footing. The world doesn't cause you to go up and down and right and left and reactive. So check this out. Let's listen to this dude talk about memetic warfare.
War are memes, and you are the primary target.
He's talking about memes.
The latest weapon of war are memes, and you are the primary target. It's called memetic warfare, and it's the latest version of information and psychological warfare that's taking place all over social media right now. The term memetic warfare was coined by Jeff Gassea, who said the goal is simple: take control of the dialogue, narrative, and psychological space before your enemy does. In his essay, It's Time to Embrace Memetic Warfare in the Defense Strategic Communications Journal, he calls trolling the guerrilla warfare of social media, and memes the currency of propaganda. And he credits memetic warfare to being a big reason why ISIS recruitment was so effective online. And memes on social media are perfect for this because they're cheap to make, they're super shareable, and appeal to our most basic emotions, usually using humor and satire. And humor is the main thing here. It's really easy to hide propaganda inside of jokes because when we're laughing at something, our guard is down and we naturally want to share it. Audrey Tong from Taiwan talked about it in 2019, how they've created meme engineering teams to respond to disinformation efforts by the CCP with a humor rumor over rumor approach. Because nowadays, war isn't just about dropping bombs or troops on the ground. It's about managing public opinion. And we've seen that in action with the genocide in Gaza. Public opinion does matter. And that's why Netanyahu has called social media a weapon and has invested millions of dollars into funding influencers and making AI bot accounts to post pro-Israeli content. Because we don't live in a world anymore where memes are just innocent, shareable jokes. They have become a tool of war. Whether that's Trump using Studio Ghibli trends to promote ICE, neo-Nazis like the Groypers using anime or Pepe memes, Iran making AI-generated Lego videos, Russian troll farms, or even the Chinese government operating disinformation campaigns called spamouflage since at least the early 2020s. And it's a way not only to energize your base, but to also overwhelm the information space of the enemy, and in that way change the conversation entirely. Because social media is our digital town square where a lot of our culture today is created, and there's a constant fight to be the loudest voice in the room. So now more than ever, we need to be thinking about who is posting these things, why they're sharing something, what's the real intent. And this is just the latest example of how all forms of entertainment are being turned into arms for propaganda, from movies to video games and everything in between. And if you want to learn more about that, check out our latest dispatch and deep dive essay where we break it all down. You can sign up at our website.
Okay, so I want you to be aware of this because you're going to get hit with it every day. I'll give you an example. Okay. Let's just go to the White House official page. They are masters of this. Oh yeah, by the way, they're releasing all these files now about UAPs and UFOs. All right, where is it? Even this right here. So they're talking about look at this. Look at this right here. Trump accounts. I don't understand exactly what it is, but it's something where you can invest in an account for your kids and then your kids will have more money in the future. It's something like that. But look at this. Flowers and money exploding from a box. It looks like a Tiffany jewelry commercial. This is an example, right? It's making it look favorable. Oh yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Thanks for having kids, guys. Have you seen these Legos videos? Dude, they post so much. Wow. Like this, right? That image. It just looks like that nostalgic vibe. All right? It's recruiting women into the military. Man. This right here, perfect example. So it looks like an iPhone screen. Genius. So you're scrolling and then you see this. So it kind of catches you off guard. It's like, wait, do not disturb. Personal work, drill, baby, drill. It's kind of funny. But it's like, wow. And then you look in the chats, and then you got all sorts of memes. Right now they're talking shit about the make the Epstein class even richer. Thanks, Trump. And they're like posting a meme about the prices at the pump. Yeah. So select all images with a patriot. See, it's pretty fascinating. And then they post all of these. It's pretty genius. It's pretty genius. Because they know the power of how to impulse people. So I just want to give you some examples of this so you can be prepared. They're doing a UFC fight night in the South Lawn at the White House. This current administration is really good at the meme warfare. Have you seen these Lego videos? I know the guy talked about it. These ones are next level. So they're using Lego, which is a kid's thing. And who knows if it's actually Iran doing it, but there's a lot of these where they're like trolling the US, right? He's trolling that like Netanyahu is like behind Trump and all of this. making Trump look totally evil, all that. Again, I'm not advocating for Trump here. Trump's in a diaper here, like acting like a spoiled kid. He's got Epstein on his forehead. This is all over right now. And then these accounts, right? It's like, LOL, Iran keeps winning with these new Lego movies. Who is Brittany Bell? Is she real? Is she not real? Who knows? But there's a whole new level out there, guys, of a psyop for your mind. Let's look up the Sun Tzu quote about winning in your mind. So if you never read the book called The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you should totally read this book. It's pretty easy to read. I would like the actual quote, but I like this. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Wow. But now you look at this in your own life, right? Victorious winners win first and then go to war. Well, defeated warriors go to war first, then seek to win. So as you approach your week, do you know what winning is? Are you actually going to stand up and be a force of change in the world? Because if you want to be victorious at it, you have to have made that decision beforehand. You're going to do it. Then you show up. As opposed to just waking up, snooze the alarm a few times, stumble into your week and go, I hope I have a good week. I hope I can make a difference. It's like, no, you gotta start right. So yeah, you should definitely read Sun Tzu, Art of War. This looks like the actual quote. If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory you have gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. If you don't know what succumb means, it means you'll lose. So if you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. So when I talk about the enemy, I'm talking about the psyop slop that is everywhere in our world that will throw you off and get you to not. Oh, sorry guys, I was reading this. If you're not aware, you're going to get screwed going out into the world. You're going to fall for anything you see online. And what's the old quote? If you stand for nothing, you fall for anything. Consider that. All right. Check this one out now. This is now the next wave of what these tech billionaires are working on. They call it taste washing. Listen to this. She's saying, why is Silicon Valley?
Why is Silicon Valley suddenly so obsessed with taste? Tech dudes used to be seen as hoodie-wearing, energy-drinking nerds who rarely left their dark room and glowing keyboards. But now, tech companies are dropping merch, starting clothing brands, and tweeting taste is the new core skill. Both Dazed and The New Yorker just dropped articles about this. Anthropic opened a pop-up cafe and gave out hats that said thinking. Palantir, a surveillance tech company with horrible values, just dropped a chore coat. So what is happening? The New Yorker called it taste washing as a play on brainwashing. AI companies need to associate themselves with taste because their tools aren't cool. They're threatening to jobs, to futures, to identity. So they're borrowing the aesthetics of craft, of slowness, of human curation to make you forget that what they're selling is the automation of all of that. And it's working because when you see a tech bro talking about taste, you think, oh, they get it. But what they actually get is that aesthetics have always been political. And if you can control the aesthetics, you can control how people feel about the thing underneath. Why is Silicon Valley suddenly...
If you can control the aesthetics, you can control how they feel about the thing underneath. Damn. Talk about memetic warfare at a whole new level. Man. All right. So if you want to see where it's headed, I got one more clip, guys. This one's the most intense one, so brace yourself. It's this guy again. Zachary, I think is his name. He's pretty entertaining.
Not enjoy what
He said, be prepared to not enjoy what I'm about to say.
Last video, be prepared to not enjoy what I'm about to say. Last video, we discussed the connections between Prospera and Honduras, freedom cities, and Trump, and Greenland, who the original idea came from.
Have you guys heard how Trump jokes about taking over Greenland? And we're also in the process now of taking over Cuba. And they just went in and they put in a new leader in Venezuela. It's like, hold on, what's going on here? So there's this kind of meme, right? Memetic warfare. There's a meme about Greenland, becoming the 51st state. Trump was also joking about Canada becoming the 51st state. This is what's underway now.
From, though, was Ron Lauder. The original idea for Trump to go into Greenland was from this guy named Ron Lauder. Ron Lauder is the World Jewish Congress president. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, David Sachs, Ken Howery, all members of the PayPal Mafia, and Ken Howery, if you don't know his name, was recently confirmed for his position as the ambassador for America to Denmark. And Denmark owns Greenland. Back to Ron Lauder. We figured out something about this guy we didn't know prior. See, we understand that Pronomos Capital is funding Prospera over in Honduras, a ZEED, where people can go and have 1% business tax, no FDA compliance, and they're trying to do this thing called make death optional, whatever the heck that means. So, this connects all the way back to Coinbase Ventures, BlackRock, but there was one person in this that we left out, and that's the Mega Group. The Mega Group was formed by a guy named Les Wexner. Les Wexner had a group of about 30 to 40 prominent Jewish billionaires to include Ron Lauder in it. Ron Lauder is the guy who gave Trump the idea to go to Greenland, and Ron Lauder also invested in the Greenland Water Bank as of this November, shortly before we go ahead and also pardon Juan Orlando Hernandez in December, who gave them the framework to create Prospera. Juan Orlando Hernandez, former president of Honduras, helped form Prospera LLC, this freedom city. But this is where it gets interesting, because Les Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secret, is also riddled in the Epstein files. Specifically, Epstein ran Wexner's finances, and Wexner gifted Epstein his New York home for $1. This is the same guy who created the Mega Group, a group of 30 to 40 prominent Jewish billionaires to include Ron Lauder. Ghislaine Maxwell had a weird foundation called Terramar, which was around having ownership over the ocean. The Terramar Project refers to primarily an ocean conservation nonprofit founded by Ghislaine Maxwell in 2012. This Global Ocean Committee that was supposed to be a nonprofit, it actually gave out no money between 2012 and 2017 and had unusually high legal and accounting fees for an organization of its size. Case 115 CV07433 LAP, document 113-13, file 102220, page 372. Ghislaine Maxwell is asked, are you a citizen of the United States? She says, I am. Are you also a citizen of England? I am. Are you a citizen of any other land? Terramar. Terramar. She says the name of her foundation. He says, that's the name of your charity project that deals with oceans. Isn't that correct? Yes, I'm French as well. Question, has Jeffrey Epstein funded Terramar for you? He did give some money to Terramar. How much? I believe it was $50,000. See, Terramar and Ghislaine Maxwell were big into this thing called seasteading. And seasteading originally came from a guy. Seasteading was originally created by this guy named Patrick Friedman, the grandson of the famed economist Milton Friedman. Patrick Friedman created a fund called Pronomos Capital, and Peter Thiel, Musk, Sam Altman, all them invest into it. And guess what that Pronomos Capital funds? Pronomos Capital funds Prospera. So Prospera and these freedom cities are a version of seasteading, the ability to create a new town, a new city, a new area that does not adhere to national law. They have their own automated governance. But here's the deal. Ron Lauder, member of the Mega Group, formed by Les Wexner, went and said to Trump, yo, we need Greenland. Trump announces freedom cities, March 2023. We announce we need Greenland, December 2025. And guess what's happening to the freedom city in Prospera? They're getting sued. April 21st, 2022, the ZEED, which is the zoning that's needed for a place like Prospera to have all of these types of rules, was deemed illegal. And so Prospera sued for $10.8 billion, and the case is still ongoing. So the Prospera project is struggling. Meanwhile, this guy says, yo, let's go after Greenland, and starts investing in Greenland. He also just so happened to start investing in Greenland mere weeks after Ken Hammer, PayPal Mafia member, is confirmed for his position as the ambassador to Denmark, and Denmark owns Greenland. Juan Orlando Hernandez, originally created the Prospera Foundation, and Prospera was founded in 2017, again, sued in 2022. But before even that, in 2011, they tried to create what's called the RED, the R-E-D, and they said, no, this is not good. We don't want this in Honduras. In 2011, a proposal for model cities, originally called RED, that would eventually get called a ZEED, but it was a RED here, was introduced. By October 2012, the Supreme Court ruled the RED law unconstitutional with a 13-1 vote, and the court judges voted 4-1. Well, those 4 judges were dismissed. At a 4 a.m. vote, they were replaced with new judges who were pro-ZEED. Following the purge, a new Supreme Court approved the legal framework for the revamped ZEEDs in 2013. And not only is Coinbase Ventures, who invests heavily into Prospera simply because it's so crypto friendly, also humongous backing by BlackRock, we have to go back to this mega group. Because the mega group, formed by and led by Les Wexner, was actually the original idea by a well-known financier out of New York who wanted to create a high net worth group of Jewish individuals that had similar goals. The mega group, which is where Ron Lauder came from, was formed by Jeffrey Epstein. Mega group, study group, Jewish group, whatever. Steven Spielberg was involved. What the heck? Jeffrey Epstein is said to have used the group to build up a high network of high-ranking contracts in business media.
So you might be like, how does this relate to me? You ever play the game called Catan? Or you ever play like Monopoly, board game where you got to like get places? That's how these billionaires are operating. They want to go beyond the laws. They want to start these new areas where they can live and then be unregulated. Here's the downside of that, guys. Let's say they get this off the ground, right? And they've got this place in Honduras. They've got a place in Greenland, all that. It's like a breakaway civilization in a sense. That's the term for it I've heard from Catherine Austin Fitz. It sounds so out there, but I'm telling you, is there much you can do about it? Currently, probably no. But should you be aware of this kind of thing is happening? Yes. Right now, there's a philosophy called might makes right, and Trump is proving this. The whole idea of like having any sort of morality or conduct around what you're going to use your country for and your military for. Trump is now proving it's just you can kind of do what you want and you win through actual warfare, but also through legal warfare. And if you need to influence public opinion, there's something called Memetic warfare, which I was just talking about earlier. So be aware that this is happening behind the scenes when the average person is just focused on my gas is too expensive at the pump. Realize there are people like myself who are interested at figuring out how do we actually make the system work for everyone. So if we could ensure, like instead of us focusing on how do we go to Greenland and try and live forever, what if it's like, how do we make sure each community is thriving? You know, that's like, call me crazy, but I mean, I think that would be a great thing. So anyway, I know that might have seemed a lot of jumping around there with that guy with the whiteboard. But guys, here's a really nice picture that encapsulates what I'm saying. Here it is. Are you ready for it? Sharing screen to the window. Check this out. Okay. Do you want more stability, more functionality, or more instability? and more dysfunction. I would imagine if you're a sane person, you would want more stability. You want our world functioning in a way that's supportive and it can help everyone grow. So here's my unkind truth is that, yeah, there's memetic warfare being used on you, and you got to be aware of it. And then, yeah, there are people who understand how to play the legal game and are literally trying to take over countries like Greenland. And then the unkind truth is you're part responsible. Because if you're just sitting there trying to make it by and survive, but you're also trying to buy Bitcoin, investing in Palantir stock, all of this, you are complicit in it. And so that's the unkind truth. But now, when you can do that, you can start to change. How do you educate yourself? How do you pay for things? How do you buy things? How do you live? How do you build community? Like, you can be part of the grassroots change that shakes the very foundation of this whole system. That's my encouragement for you is stop sleepwalking through life. Get educated. Otherwise, you fall asleep to the kind lie, which is our government loves us, which leads to the other governments are bad, which leads to, oh, yeah, Epstein wasn't that bad. You know, Peter Thiel's probably a good guy. I don't know. Yeah, they deserve the ability to just like kind of make decisions on behalf of everybody. That's fine. And all of a sudden, you get into a dysfunctional system where you end up in a place you don't want to be. So, overall, for life, the life within you, the life within me, the life within all of us, do we want it to become more stable, more effective, more functional for all of us? Or are you cool with it just spiraling into a very, very weird future dystopia? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not trying to create Hunger Games. I'm not trying to create the Terminator. You are here, sci-fi 1980. You want to see some memetic warfare that will help you? Here we go. This is a great one. All right. Check this one. You see this? It says, you are here. See, this is an example of memetic warfare, but that you can use to help understand what's going on. Now, if you haven't read any of these books or seen these movies, I'll just explain, right? Here's the overview. You got Brave New World. You got 1984. Fahrenheit 451. These are some of the popular ones. The Matrix, Lord of the Flies. I watched Brazil one time. Shout out Cameron, showed me that one. Animal Farm. It's like you are here in between all of these. Are we going to let it keep getting bad? And then these people on Etsy are like, oh, let me just make a business out of this. Haha, this is funny. Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't read 1984, you should read it. It's pretty uncomfortable to read, honestly. It says futuristic movie timeline. This is funny. We're somewhere in between Blade Runner and Soylent Green. You ever see V for Vendetta? You should watch that one. I'm working through Minority Report right now. I never actually watched that one. Matrix, great movie. Dune. Dune is the final one on here. Read Dune. The movie sucks. But yeah, guys, this is the overarching plan, let's just say. We could actually just course correct. Do you want to course correct? I do. If you want to course correct, hit me up. Hit me up. I'll show you how to do it. But it involves you. Notice how both of them said, you are here. You're here, guys. You're here. You're able to create. So that's what I want to share for today. Really consider that first video I showed you of that guy moving logs, and he explains, he's like, the technology that a human uses, their mind will end up getting morphed to be like it. Make sure you do things today. Like, I'll give you an example of a technology. Writing. Writing is a technology. Writing self-forgiveness. writing, processing, getting things out of your mind, output, new input. It's so helpful. You can then start to actually be present. It slows you down. Writing creates here-ness, and here-ness creates freedom. So do you want to free yourself? Or you want to just get strung along into some weird dystopia where all the billionaires live in Greenland, and it makes it that much harder to change? Because even if you can't get yourself on board, don't you have kids or grandkids you care about? So use that as your motivation. So I got a whole week in store. I got topics for every day this week. I'm pumped. I'm enjoying the live stream. I get a lot of good feedback from you listeners. But take that step this week. And if you're like, dude, what do I do? What the heck should I do? Hit me up. Send me a message. I can show you some really helpful tools by which you can start to rewire your mind and rewire your life so you can have an amazing life for yourself, but then also for the community around you, so you can become a leader for the new world. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.